full bracket. You ready for this?
Oh,
Big letters. It doesn't get a rolling banner. It is right in the middle of this. Because this is exactly how the playoffs are going to get broken down. So, John, do you want to start us off with your American League wild card round? What are your two matchups?
I got the Royals versus the Mariners, and I got the Red Sox versus the Blue Jays.
All right. And then between the Royals and Mariners.
What's the seeding there?
Oh, Royals 6, Mariners the 3 seed, Red Sox 5, Blue Jays 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
My bad.
In that 6 matchup, who the winner of that will face? Who was your 2 seed?
2 seed is the Yankees.
And the winner facing the Yankees will be?
The Mariners.
So we got Yankees Mariners in the ALDS. Who comes out alive?
Of the ALDS versus the Mariners.
All right. So let's see who's going to meet the Mariners in the ALCS. We got, you said Boston, Toronto?
Yes.
Who faces the 1 seed? And who is that?
I have the Blue Jays facing the Tigers.
Jays, Tigers, 1 versus 4, right?
Yes.
Who faces Seattle?
The Tigers.
So Seattle
Tigers. The ALDS last year.
Yeah.
Mariners, Tigers. Who is going to represent the American League in the World Series?
The Tigers.
Tigers in the World Series.
Yes.
Any reasoning behind picking the Tigers to win the American League?
This guy's taking this Scooble thing way too far.
It wasn't the Orioles this year.
Wasn't Orioles this year.
No, not or I can't with their pitching. No. Any reasons for the tie? I don't know. I don't expect Cal Raleigh to be as good as he was last year, and he didn't seem like too well in the World Baseball Classic. But it's a long season, early season, but I just think the Tigers are going up. They have Framber Valdez now. We all know my thoughts on Scooble. If you watch our top 10 pitchers thing, I don't know. I just like the Tigers.
What made you choose the seeding? Like, how'd you decide between the 4, 5, and 6 seeds?
The 4, 5, and 6. I think that's just how what happened. Like at least when we were doing the ranking and stuff, I think it just worked out that way. Where it would have happened. Like it just when we did the predictions, it just fell that way.
All right.
So,
you guys ready to hear Ben's?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. In the wild card round, Ben has 3-seeded Kansas City hosting 6-seeded Yankees. And then he has the Yankees moving on, facing the 2-seeded Mariners. So in the Yankees-Mariners matchup, he has Seattle going on to the ALCS. On the flip side, he has Boston the 5, Detroit the 4. Boston knocking out the Tigers and going to play the 1-seeded Blue Jays. And then Boston knocks off the Blue Jays, faces Seattle, and Boston is going to the World Series. Any comments on Ben's predictions?
I get it. I get the respect for Boston's pitching staff for sure. I don't want to give too much away because they're in my playoffs, but I get it.
Well, let's hear yours then, so we can get your full.
I have the 3-seeded Houston Astros versus the 6-seeded Toronto Blue Jays. I have the 4-seed Boston Red Sox versus the 5-seed Seattle Mariners. Which one do you want to hear first?
Let's go with the 3-6.
I have the 6-seed Toronto Blue Jays defeating the 3-seed Houston Astros, and then they will be facing the Blue Jays will be facing the 2-seeded Tigers, and I have the Blue Jays going to the ALCS.
Back to back.
Yep. I have the 5-seed Mariners defeating the 4-seed Boston Red Sox in the wild card. I think that their playoff experience is what really reigns supreme there. I think Boston losing Bregman, losing a veteran leader, hurts a lot in the postseason. A lot of inexperienced guys there. Then I have the 5 seed Mariners taking on the 1 seed Yankees. We all have Mariners Yankees in the ALDS. I'm the only person who predicted it correctly with the Yankees beating the Mariners, setting up an 1 seed Yankees versus 6 seed Blue Jays ALCS with a trip to the World Series on the line. And I went with the New York Yankees to return to the World Series just 2 years after they were there. I picked the Yankees to make it because I think full strength, they have the best pitching rotation in the American League. You know, Crochet and Skubal are better aces today than what I expect Garrett Cole to be, but with Fried, Rodon, Schlittler behind, I got more faith in that 4-man unit when healthy. And Bednar, Duvall, again, we talked about it in the preview, but I think the Yankees have some clear guys that they're going to trade at the deadline or before then in Dominguez and Luis Gil to add another high-level player to the lineup, whether that's Stephen Kwan, like we've talked about, or somebody else. But it's just right there in front of them, that deal. So, yeah, Yankees fans will love that one. It's just right there in front of us. But that deal, a deal surrounding one of those guys feels too obvious. And I do think, you know, as much as Yankees fans, myself, Corey included, have BS'd about the team just kind of running it back, I do think there is something to continuity and there is something to keeping a team together and the team just growing together. I think guys like Wells and Ben Rice could take jumps this year. Chisholm could have a solid season. Bellinger was pretty consistent last year. The lineup produced the most runs in the regular season, got cold in the playoffs. Could happen again, but I'm going to say that they return to the form from 2 years ago and get to a World Series.
A lot of love for the Mariners going on right now.
I mean, I had them getting to the DS. I don't know if that's crazy.
I mean, just in general, so far, like I didn't even notice it until you said it. Between John, you, and Ben, everybody's had Yankees, Mariners in the ALDS.
Yep.
And from the way I have the brackets, it's been on both sides too. So it's not just giving one the 2 seed or it's both sides. They're coming together. So it's kind of funny.
Yep.
For me, I have the 3-seeded Tigers hosting the 6-seeded Royals. Then I have the Tigers winning that, facing the 2-seeded Red Sox, where the Tigers go on to the ALCS as a 3 seed. Well, you're not a big fan of the Tigers?
I'm just listening.
And then on the other side, I have the Yankees the 4 and Toronto the 5. Do I have it in me to predict a Yankees win?
Not a shot.
Seattle, the 1 seed, will be hosting the Yankees
Wow.
in the ALDS.
Of course. 4 for 4.
I feel like if you were playing Houston, you would have picked Houston to win.
4 for 4 on Seattle Yankees ALDS
Wow.
is crazy.
And it seems like Seattle's winning that 3-1, where I have Seattle knocking off the Yankees.
So we have the same.
Only one person got that ALDS matchup correct. Remember what I said to you guys about 8 minutes ago as the podcast started?
But John, to mention your point, I would have had the Yankees beating the Astros because I need them to exercise the demons. They're not going to win a World Series until they knock off the Astros in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. But I have Seattle, Detroit in the CS, and Seattle will be going to the World Series.
So all of us with a different AL rep.
Which is very funny given how similar some of the things have been.
We had a lot of the same teams and same matchups.
That's a good thing
Which is good.
that it's so wide open, because can you really say the same for the National League?
I guess we'll find out if we could say the same.
John, let's hear it.
Okay, hold on. I gotta pull it up. Okay.
Pull.
I got the 6 seed Mets going against the 3 seed Cubs, and the 5 seed Phillies going against the 4 seed Padres. And then I have the 3 seed Cubs beating the Mets and facing the 2 seed Braves.
Is that a little bit of Mets hatred seeping through?
Little bit.
Let's hear he picks Cubs Braves. Let's see if it continues.
Little bit. And then I have the Braves beating the Cubs.
The hate isn't as strong.
It is strong. I also am kind of low on the Mets. I just don't think like their team as a whole. I mean, we got a lot. I mean, when we did that, the talked about the Mets for our like the previews, we got a lot. We got like some hate from on that
Yeah,
video.
because you guys don't know what you're talking about. Only I know how to assess the Mets properly.
I think they were talking about you too.
They would never.
Nah, but not. And then I have the 5 seed Phillies beating the 4 seed Padres. Yeah, I mean it. And then I have the Phillies facing the Dodgers, and I have the Dodgers winning.
So there's Braves.
Dodgers Braves, and then I have the Dodgers winning.
Ooh,
Dodgers Tigers World Series. Sign me up.
that's what everybody wants to see. All right, let's hear Ben's. Ben has the 3-seeded Cincinnati Reds hosting the 6-seeded Cubs, where the Reds knock off the Cubbies and travel to Atlanta to play the 2 seed. And the magical run ends there, where the Braves are going to the NLCS. Ben has the 5-seeded Phillies going to the 4-seeded Mets, where the Mets knock off the Phils to take on the 1-seeded Dodgers. Do the Mets knock off the Dodgers? Any predictions? Any guesses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the Dodgers win.
Wow.
Wow.
Dodgers, Braves, NLDS. Where did we just hear that?
You mean NLCS?
NLCS.
NLCS.
And then the Braves knock off the Dodgers, and the Braves are going to the World Series.
So he's got Braves, Red Sox.
Dylan.
All right. I have the 3-seeded Braves taking on the 6-seeded Padres, and I have the 4-seeded Mets taking on the 5-seeded Phillies. I have the 3-seeded Braves defeating the 6-seeded Padres, and then going to take on the 2-seed Dodgers, where I have the Dodgers winning that matchup and going to the NLCS. On the flip side, I have the 4-seeded Mets defeating the 5-seeded Phillies. Sorry, John. And then I have the 4-seeded Mets staying hot and going to the 1-seeded Cubs and winning and going to the NLCS. Dodgers, Mets, must-see TV. The Dodgers back to the World Series. Dodgers, Yankees, a rematch of 2 years ago.
John, don't worry. The Phillies won't lose a single playoff game when I have control of the bracket.
That is true.
I mean, this year they should have Wheeler, Luzardo, and Sanchez, and Alvarado, and Duran all available. So hopefully
Hey.
different.
Should have
Is
had
Wheeler-
Alvarado last season.
Are we still
Could
sure
have.
Wheeler's going to be okay, though, with that issue? Like,
He's
some worry.
He's slated to come back in 30 days after he has this rehab start. I think.
Yeah,
this
but, like,
Sunday.
there's a
I
difference
think he
between
looks
coming back
fine.
and coming back. But I got the 6-seeded Padres going to the 3-seeded Cubs. Padres knock off the Cubbies to face the divisional rival Dodgers in the NLDS, the 2-seed. And the Dodgers will be going to the NLCS. So all 4 of us have the Dodgers in the NLCS, and I feel like if you don't, you're doing it wrong. The Dodgers aren't going to be one and dones in the playoffs.
Some would say if you don't have the Dodgers in the World Series, you're doing it wrong.
Well, I have the 5-seeded Giants going to the 4-seeded Braves, or the Braves do win a playoff series to take on the 1-seeded Mets. And the Mets win, Mets Dodgers. Where'd we hear that? But this time the Mets knock off the Dodgers, and the Mets are in the World Series.
So you have Mets, Mariners.
Mariners.
Mets Mariners.
So the only commonality across all of this was me and John both picked the Dodgers to go to the World Series.
That's pretty great, though, for having to pick, 4 American League, 4 National League with a full built
I mean, last year me and John had the exact same World Series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we both picked the Dodgers to win. So, I mean,
Does it repeat this year? We'll find out. But now, do we have any final thoughts or, questions regarding our brackets? or do we want to just acknowledge Ben having the Reds, win a playoff matchup?
I'm just shocked Ben didn't pick the Mets to win the World Series. I think it's the first time in the
Yeah.
history of the podcast, and it's not a spoiler because they're not in his World Series.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yep.
But somebody had to do it, so I bit the bullet, even though I wrote mine first before I saw Ben's.
Yeah, I don't. All right.
Now it's time.
Playoff
World
prediction.
Series predictions. Are the World Series not part of the playoffs?
They are. They are.
They are. John, you had the Dodgers and the Tigers in the World Series.
I do.
Who wins? How many games? World Series MVP.
I didn't think of a World Series MVP.
Think of it now.
I'll think of it on the fly here. But I have the Dodgers winning it in 6.
Okay.
I think the Tigers can steal 2 games there. But I think ultimately the Dodgers win it. Because as of now, I feel like they are the best team. And it's basically, I don't know. I think it's like there's, to lose here. I think they can go on a bit of a run here. For MVP, oh, man.
So many great guys to pick from.
There's so many because it can be anyone, and it's just like because it could be a pitcher, it could
You
be
can pick
anyone.
a guy who's had notable postseason unsuccess to have a finally solid postseason. There's one guy in the Dodgers that's known to have poor postseason numbers that a big postseason will easily net him World Series MVP.
You know what? Let's go with Kyle Tucker though. Kyle Tucker, yeah, new addition, Kyle Tucker. The reason they win.
I was talking about Ohtani, by the way.
Nah,
Poor playoff performer statistically.
he's gonna win the MVP, and then he's gonna be just
Poor
okay. in
playoff
the playoffs.
performer?
Yep.
He had a lower batting average than Judge in that World Series.
He also last year, I think he batted like 100 against the Phillies.
Ben has the Braves and the Red Sox in the World Series, where he has Boston beating the Braves in 6 games. Ben doesn't get to pick an MVP. So let's all pick one for him. If the Red Sox win the World Series, I think the MVP is going to be Roman Anthony.
Wilyer Abreu, the man is clearly clutch. We saw it in the WBC.
I'm gonna go with Jarren Duran.
Guy who won't even be on the team.
Is he
They're
on
going
the
to
team?
trade him.
You think? I don't know. I mean, if they're making it all the way to the World Series,
Future Philadelphia Philly right there, Jarren Duran.
I mean, if they're doing that well, I don't know if they're going to trade.
They might. Dylan, your 2024 rematch, does it still
Yes.
break our hearts?
We're Yankees fans. Of course it does. I have the Dodgers beating us in 6 games. I do think we get one more because I think the team actually is a little bit more cohesive and the pitching staff is definitely better. But at the end of the day, we lost Juan Soto. They gained Kyle Tucker. It's just not enough for me to pick us. I'll be rooting for us. I'm sure when the moment comes, I'll be delusional enough to pick us. But all the way out here in March, I will pick the Dodgers.
When we revisit the predictions when it comes to World Series and Yankees are there, you're going to be like, yep, Yankees. I'm switching to the Yankees.
Oh, guaranteed.
Is it going to be 6 like last time around was pretty much almost 6 without that Game 5 fall apart?
I think it'll be six like real games. I don't think it'll be
6.
respectable 6.
Like they win 2, then we win the first one, or maybe
Yes.
we go 2-2,
Something like that. Something like that.
Where like it's not Game 3 or
I'll tell you what though. I know which games they do win. 1 in 5. Because my World Series MVP, back-to-back years. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. You thought you were going to get the last laugh on being the biggest fan of Yamamoto. Nope. World Series MVP again.
Yeah, but you didn't have him to win the Cy Young, so how big of a Yama guy can you be?
Because the Dodgers take the regular season off. Yamamoto's the same deal. He's like, I don't need to try for this award. You know what? I'll try for my award.
So they're going to end up naming the National League World Series MVP after Yamamoto.
I mean, maybe we'll see how many more they keep winning.
I got the Mets and Mariners in the World Series. Very exciting matchup. This World Series ends in 5. where the Mariners hoist the Commissioner's Trophy. Mariners over Mets in 5. J-Rod, World Series MVP. J-Rod's the guy who's going to get top 3 MVP votes, if I'm going to add that in there.
It's on my fantasy team. Wouldn't hate it.
Any final thoughts on the World Series predictions for any one of us?
I can't
Man.
believe you picked the Mets this year and it wasn't Ben.
Man, you let the Yankees get Steven Kwan, and I'm all the way in.
Yeah, no. If the Yankees get Kwan, you might have me singing a different tune about the Yankees. Finally, having a leadoff hitter that isn't Trent Grisham.
I might be all the way in. I mean,
No,
we'll see we gotta see what Cole looks like. If Cole looks like Cole,
throwing Cade Smith.
Well,
I mean, that's been my thing is Kwan and Cade together.
yes, that would be the idea.
Clint Frazier and Miguel Andujar.
No, yeah, I think the World Series, despite what everybody wants to say about the Dodgers, is still pretty unpredictable. I think me and John did pick them to win the World Series, but 2 people on the podcast didn't even pick them to make it. So as powerful as the Dodgers are on paper, baseball is baseball. Got to play 162. You get hot at the right time. That's why we love it.
The Dodgers almost lost last year. And to be honest, a couple different decisions in 2024, the Dodgers also might not have won that World Series.
So the Dodgers won. What was the COVID World Series? 2021?
2020 versus the
2020.
Rays. I actually went to one of the games there. Tony Gonsolin pitched.
So I guess, I mean, if the Dodgers three-peat and the roster that they have, next year we'll have to the following year we'd have to start talking 2020's Dodgers or 90s Yankees.
I mean, that's an easy.
We're gonna be in that world.
It's going to be annoying. But again, you had the Dodgers on the ropes in Game 7 versus Toronto in 25.
Yep.
That could have very easily been a Blue Jays World Series win in Game 6 or Game 7.
Could have been.
Could have.
But
Well,
it
that's
wasn't.
24. Tim Hill comes in instead of Nestor. That shifts the whole dynamic. The Dodgers
I'm just
didn't
saying,
run away.
if we went revisionist history on some of those Yankees World Series,
I don't know. When they swept the Padres in '99, I don't think you can revision.
okay. Well, if the Dodgers come and start pulling the brooms out on somebody,
which they did.
I'm just saying, you also just talked about a 5-game set that could have been gone the other way if one play had happened. So.
Right. I'm just saying, like, when the Dodgers are this great paper, monster, but when we get on the field, they bleed.
Listen, I know who I'd pick as well. I'm just saying the conversation might be around the corner.
Right. Well, just even now, like, not even picking the Dodgers to go to the World Series, like, they're not unbeatable. Like, almost any team I have in the playoffs, I think could beat them in a 7-game series.
I don't.
You don't
Not
think?
with their pitching. If their whole team is healthy,
I said almost every team.
I think the only AL teams today that stand a chance are the Yankees and the Mariners.
and that's like full healthy, right? Like full.
Yeah,
Like
I think the Red Sox with their pitching.
I just don't think because the Dodgers with their pitching is still really I'm like the Dodgers are fully healthy. They got Snell, they got Glass now, they got Ohtani, they got Yamamoto. Like
they have enough pitchers where they can use starting pitchers.
I would
in
say
relief if
those
they're fully
teams,
healthy.
and then I would say the Mets, and oddly enough, the Phillies. Even though I didn't predict them to go far, I think at their best they could beat the Dodgers.
What about the Braves, though? I feel like the Braves are just a weird team to predict right now because of how off of a year they had last year.
Especially now since Strider's going to start the season on the IL.
And he's kind of sucked the last 2 years, if we're just being honest here. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they lost their workhorse and Fried.
Yeah, Sale is obviously nice. I don't think the Braves have enough juice pitching to beat the Dodgers, honestly. I barely think the Mets have enough juice. It's just the bats are just so insane, dude. Like if you can get Luis Robert back to where he was a couple of years ago, on top of Soto, Lindor. Like, it's just
Well, let's say the Mets do knock off the Dodgers. Now, are the Mets an easier face for more teams in the World
Yeah.
Series?
absolutely.
So, like,
Because
if
hitting can
you're-
go cold. And their
Right.
pitching isn't as good as the Dodgers.
So, if you're the American League, you're kind of hoping to face, that the
Anybody
Mets,
but the Dodgers.
Right, that
If
the
I'm the
Mets-
American League, I'm hoping to face anybody but the Dodgers.
which is kind of funny because 2024, I was kind of hoping to face the Dodgers because I didn't want to face the OMG Mets. that
Yeah,
had
you were the
another-
only one who was hoping for
oh,
that.
They terrified me. They had friendship on their side. Like,
Yeah. Well, the Dodgers have all-star team roster on their side.